So today here we have the Range Rover 2020 Range Rover Sport. I'm going to do a test spot and I'm going to try Sonax Cut Max, and if that doesn't work I'm going to try Meguiar's M101, and I'm going to be using a microfiber repairs pad, and we'll see what kind of things we get out of that, and then from that I know which compound I'm going to choose and I'll go around and do the whole car with that. Then I'll come back and I'll finish using Sonax Perfect Finish on a yellow foam pad. And that's the baseline of the quality of paint that we have here. And so definitely I know that those combos will improve the paint. All those combinations remove all the swirls, we're about to find out. And lucky for us, we've got a large arsenal of our products that we can try and get the best result as possible here. Here we are, Sonax Cut Max. Now this is a brand new microfiber pad. When you use a brand new microfiber pad, you end up with lots of fibers everywhere. They will spread themselves all over the bonnet, but that's alright, because after the first use of that, those fibers will disappear. Prepare our pad, spread it around with our buttering knife here, just coating all those fibers. Coating all those fibers without polish. And then I'm going to start in this section here. We'll do one test spot here and we'll do another test spot there. And we'll see the result that we get. So now what we can see, well I hope the camera can bring this up, is that a lot of those scratches and defects have been removed. And if I keep coming down we'll start to see, there we go, so that's where the scratches are. So we go from that to that. Now I know, because I just had a quick look, that actually there are still a couple of defects still in the paint that I reckon we can remove if maybe we tried something a little bit more aggressive, or if we did a couple more passes. So there we go. Polish, 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 and just coming into frame now is the area that's got all the scratches. So here we are, Meguiar's M101. It's on the same pad. It's not a true reflection of how good this will because it's slightly loaded with a bit of the previous polish. I put a little tape line there so we can get a good 50-50, and we'll see what kind of result we get on this side. Wipe away and see what kind of result we've got. I've got a feeling that it's M101 all day, but we shall see. Okay, so it's going to be super hard to tell, but this was the Sonax Cut Max coming down into Meguiar's M101 and back up again. So I don't know where the scratches start, but they start down here somewhere. And so what we can see here is, I know with the Sonax Cut Max there's a few scratches just in and around this area here which we're not going to see on the camera. And as we come back down here again, I can see that there's quite a lot of micro marring, which Meguiar's M101 seems to do that with a microfiber pad. And so now this is where you make a decision. I know that the Sonax Cut Max has left quite a lot of scratches in this period, this area here. So do I use the same pad? Do I make more passes? You know, do I go from making 4 passes to 6 passes? But then when I inspect the paint on the Meguiar's M101, the result is so much better with the same 4 passes. Do I try a different compound? Or am I happy with that? Maguizing 101 creates a lot of dusting, especially in here. I've got a garage door and stuff that opens, but it's not very well ventilated, and we do get quite a lot of dust, so that's the downside of that product. Whereas Sonax Cut Max doesn't dust. It's very easy to work with, it wipes away quite nicely, but then we're not getting the perfect result here. So for me, I'm going to deal with the dusting. I'm going to use Maguire's M101. I'm going to get a way better finish than I did with the Cut Max. And then we will use this combination on the Rover's microfiber pad for the whole car. We'll come back, we'll use Sonax Perfect Finish to refine that. The micro marring we'll have to deal with, but the micro marring will come out beautifully with Perfect Finish, and I think we'll get a really nice finish down on this paint. A lot of the scratches will be removed, and I think I'll be really happy with that. The time and effort to get your car looking good is the ability of the detailer to be able to remove the scratches from the paint. That happens in the compound and polishing stages. That's what takes the longest, that's what takes the most amount of skill, that's what takes the longest time, and that's what you will be paying for the most when you take your car to the detailing shop, is for them to remove the scratches. The easiest part and the funnest part and the part that makes the car look real glossy and gives it protection is putting on a ceramic coating. Here we've got Gtechniq Crystal Serum Ultra. Now this is for detailers only that are accredited by Gtechniq. This is like professional grade, and Omni Garage is an accredited installer of this product, and so that's how we're able to put it on. So Crystal Serum Ultra, it's sort of got two layers. It's got more of a softer, more flexible layer that goes down kind of first, and that sort of adheres to the clear coat and is flexible, that can go up and down through those grooves. And then it's got a more harder layer that goes over the top, and that's more of a thicker sort of solid layer. So those two layers, although it's a bit thicker, it sort of reduces the haziness in the paint, and therefore it probably looks a little bit cleaner and a little bit has a little bit more gloss to it. And I definitely have noticed that this does seem very sort of wet look type finish. So yes, this coating, it's going to stay bonded to the paint for a long period of time. It's going to create a nice gloss finish. It's going to make the paint feel very slick. It's going to help increase the contact angle with water, so we have really nice water shedding and water beading behavior. It's going to make it slightly easier to clean. It's a thick coating, so it's meant to reduce swirls and scratches, although I'm not too sure about that. And Gtechniq guarantee that this coating will last sort of 9 years. This is an interesting point, and this is what detailers will have, is they'll have like a 5-year coating, 10-year coating, etc. This will stay bonded to the paint for 9 years potentially, but your car will not look good in 9 years time. So what happens over time is that this coating will become contaminated. You'll have scratches and marks all over your paint. You'll have road grime and tar, etc. So in a couple of years time, what's going to happen is we're going to need to polish the paint. We're going to have to decontaminate it, and we're probably going to have to reapply the coating. So that's the real key point here, is that yes, it'll stay bonded to the paint for that period of time, but your car will not look good for that period amount of time, and so you will need to refresh this every couple of years or so. So how do we apply this? Well, it's super easy. They give you a nice little dropper. You want to get yourself some microfiber applicator pads. If you're doing this for the first time, you need to load your pad up, so you'd put quite a lot of drops down on there, but this pad is already loaded, so I'm getting quite low on this, but a couple of drops on the pad, and we're going to work on a cross-hatch type motion, and we're going to stay extremely organized. So we go up for a section, keeping really organized, and we're going to turn the pad the other way, and we're going to go back. And this cross-hatch motion just hopefully eliminates us from missing any spots on the paint here, then that we cover that all the surfaces. And you're not going to see on camera, but what is happening now is that it slowly sort of beads up, bubbles, sort of bubbles to the surface, and then it goes quite hazy, and I can see already that it's hazed over, and then it's time to wipe off. So keeping organized. Our first wipe, we want to stay pretty confined to the area that we applied the product. And then with our second wipe, our second towel, we then want to basically level off the product, and we want to go slightly wider than we applied in case we push product to those areas, because you definitely don't want to be getting any high spots. And high spots create when we basically either don't remove the product from the area we've applied, or we've pushed product over there and it's dried, and you end up with this sort of white mark that will never come off, and you're going to have to go and polish it all off. And so what I've noticed with this product is that the first wipe or so is quite tacky, and then as we start to remove that product, it becomes very, very slick. Super nice to work with, and you can see, well, maybe not on camera, but it's very glossy. It's kind of wet look, which I really quite like. And then we're going to continue around this whole section. So now it's day 2, and now I'm going to apply XO V5. First time me using this as well. What this should do is that it should create a real huge water contact angle, and so we'll get really nice water behavior, water beading, water shedding. It should make trying to clean the car a lot easier. It should deepen and enrichen like the black trim and around the windows and stuff like that. Should really enrichen it, and it should make the paint feel even smoother. It gives a little bit more protection, so about 24 months, which is perfect, because that's roughly around the time when this paint's going to start to look real beat up, real scratched and damaged. So it should give us enough longevity there, and it should be really slick to work with, and it should leave the paint feeling even smoother than it already is. So I'm really excited to get in and use this. What's good about this is that the bottle's clear, so I can see exactly how much product we had. Using the Crystal Serum Ultra, the bottle was black, and I was sort of having to put something in there to see roughly where I was at, how much did I have, so that I could time it perfectly to get around the whole vehicle. So I like that that's clear. Just want to mix our chemical up. If this was a faulty bottle, what you'd be able to see is you'd be able to see like a whole heap of crystals and stuff inside the bottle, and there's none of that in there, so this is a nice bottle to use. If this was open and it had sat on the shelf for a period of time, it would start to come crystallized, and you definitely don't want to be using that then. Working time is a lot longer than we had with the Crystal Serum Ultra. This will probably take, I don't know, depending on your weather conditions, it can take sort of 30 seconds to a couple of minutes to really haze over and start to bubble to the surface. And it's quite cool this morning. The sun is coming up, but we'll just let that wait, and we've got a bit of time there before we start our wipe off. So this will be our first wipe. Oh, that is so slick. So that is very slick. The Crystal Serum Ultra was super slick compared to Crystal Serum Light. Now this is even slicker again, and this is definitely way slicker than the original XO V4. Well, not the original, but the XO V4 was the one that we were using. That is magic. Oh yeah, so good. That's really nice. So if I bring you in closer, can you see what I'm trying to talk about? Is that those lines and stuff? That's what we're seeing is hazing over. And now as that hazes over compared to that side, we're getting it to haze over. And when we see the sort of bubbles appear, kind of looks like little sweat droplets within a minute or so, that's what we're going to then wipe off. And we want to make sure that we wipe within the area and level that down so that we don't see any of that. also used for the very first time on this car was the new Rover's microfiber pads. Now, I used yellow and I used blue. Now, my initial thoughts is that when I was using the blue for the very first time, it's quite hard to maneuver around the paint. It gets quite a lot of pad store, and that's because the backing plate's very stiff and rigid. When I used the yellow for the very first time, it had a lot more give, not as much pad store, and easier to use. But then what I found is that over time and over a couple of wash cycles, the backing plate on this gets really quite soft, and it starts to turn like these Meguiar's pads. These backing plates are done, but it starts to get really soft. Now, over time what happens is that this pad here softened a little bit and got to the point that I really enjoyed using it. So what I reckon is that I would get yourself a blue microfiber pad, and I'd have in the back of my mind that for the first panel and the first wash cycle, this pad will be a bit of a nuisance to use, but over time the backing plate will soften and it will start to feel a bit like the yellow pad when it was brand new. So overall, really happy with how the car turned out. By no means have I removed all the scratches, but I've definitely made it way better than when it came, when we got it. The coating has definitely improved the paint quality and has improved the overall look of the car, and it's going to make it so much easier to wash. I haven't done the wheels. That will come later down the track if I can even be bothered, but so far really happy with how the car looks, and I'm really happy I actually did that.